You are on the driver's seat, going fast, around and around, and you've got the speed, you've got control, and just before you feel something start to wiggle, you go for a pit stop. You know it's going to cost you 2.5 seconds at most, but you know the power of taking that pit stop. Your tires get changed, your repairs done, and your engine's calibrated so you can continue at that high level. Now, I know we are not F1 drivers like we all want to be, but do you take pit stops in your day-to-day life? Or do you think that pit stops are a waste of time? Now, if you ask any F1 drivers whether they think pit stops are a waste of time, like they would look at you like you're crazy. Of course, it's part of my winning strategy to take pit stops. So similarly, if you're looking to achieve and maintain high performance in whichever arena it is in your life, you deserve to have that pit stop before you get derailed, swerve, or clash into others. So consider this your pit stop moment. And one of the key pillars to peak performance without burnout is mental fitness. Pretty sure you have some ideas about physical fitness. Think of all the things you can do when you're physically fit. But what is mental fitness? It is your capacity to respond to life challenges with a positive rather than negative mindset. Negative mindset here can be accompanied by usually negative emotions like stress, anger, blame, guilt, and all other negative emotions, which not only waste our time and energy, but also impact our performance, well-being, and relationships. We generally know how to measure physical fitness and how to improve it. For mental fitness, we have validated research from PQ, Positive Intelligence, or PQ for short, to assess and methodically strengthen our mental muscles. What I love about the work of mental fitness is that it's highly practical and it's based on original research in positive intelligence. It's a life's work of Sirsat Shamin, a professor at the Stanford University and one of the pioneers in coaching. He also authored the best-selling book, Positive Intelligence, which have been translated to various languages. And it's also battle-tested with CEOs and their teams, world-class athletes, and hundreds and thousands of participants globally. It's a synthesis of scientific breakthrough in neuroscience, cognitive behavioral psychology, positive psychology, and performance science. And you have positive intelligence. And through factor analysis, the research discovered that there are only 10 negative response factors or saboteurs and only 5 positive response factors or 5 sage powers. And they live in different areas of our brain. And the saboteurs, they motivate you through negative emotions like guilt or blame or anger also. But sage motivates you with positive emotion like compassion, empathy, love. And you are mentally fit when you operate more often in your sage instead of being hijacked in your saboteurs. And what more, saboteurs, they might help you generate success, but not necessarily your happiness. While your sage powers generates your highest success and sustained happiness. There are 3 core muscles at the root of mental fitness. They are the muscles to catch your saboteur, to self-command, and we'll practice a technique together to boost our self-command in a moment, and also the muscle to the sage muscle that we need to strengthen so that we can use our sage powers. And strengthening these core muscles have immediate application in your daily life. So let's take, for example, something very common. Like each one of us throughout the day must have experienced some sort of negative emotions. Negative emotion is like a bang in my heart, like it's like pain. Now, in that light, consider this question: is pain good for you? So, negative emotion, just like pain, is only helpful for 1 second, a split second, as an alert signal. But if you are staying in that negative emotion, you're stewing in your anger, or in your blame, or in your guilt, in your disappointment, it hurts your ability to see clearly and respond with empathy, curiosity, creativity, or laser focused action. And that means also when you're having negative emotion, when you're experiencing it, that your saboteurs are active. So let's catch them. So this is the whole plan. Quite simple, your 3-to-1 mental fitness plan. And it starts by noticing, is there any negative thought or emotion at the moment, perhaps frustration or anger at someone, or a tension about a project, or guilt for not doing something for your friend. And notice the inner voice. What is the inner dialogue like? And if you notice that it is very harsh, critical, and not helpful in general, that's the saboteur. So catch it. And a lot of people, they already know, okay, like I have this negative emotion, I am aware of it, but what to do next is also important. So what we do in this mental fitness is we activate our self-command. And how we do that is by doing this technique called a PQ rep, or it's quite similar to mindfulness technique actually. Basically, it's no hard thinking, no over analyzing the problem at hand, the situation. But what we do is we train our mind to pay attention to our physical sensation. So the mind gets to observe the physical sensation. Shall we try this technique right now? So if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes and really notice the weight of your body in your seat. Or if you're standing like me, just notice the weight of your body transferred all the way to the floor via your feet. Yeah, feel also the contact of your feet with the ground. And take a couple of deep breaths. And if you want, you can place one hand on your belly and notice the subtle sensation, the rising and falling, the expanding and the releasing of each in and out breath. And now in this stillness place, notice a sound that you can hear. Even I dare you to find the furthest away a sound that you can hear. And now shift your attention to find the closest sound you can hear. Maybe it's the sound of your own breathing. If your eyes are closed, gently open your eyes. And check in also with how you feel right now. Now we've just done a PQ rep or mindfulness, if you're more familiar with that. And you probably notice that the usual chatter, like this, it gets quieter. And I hope that you also experience now more calm, feeling grounded, because this is where you have better access to your sage, where empathy, creativity, clarity, and wisdom can bubble up. So the the question next, because this plan is quite simple, it's 3 to 1, but the implementation is the devil. And all research from neuroscience on changing behavior always like tells you that our brain really doesn't like change because it consumes more mental energy. So that's why the brain pulls up a lot of tricks to try to pull us back into the old pattern. And you also notice it, right? Like it takes more effort when you are doing something new, like you're just starting with a new habit. It takes more time and consistent practice until it feels natural. So the general rule of thumbs in the implementation strategy here is to make it as easy and as attractive as possible to your brain. Okay, so let's go through the strategy. First, we don't change just for the sake of change. We have we have something connected to it, our personal goal. So this is the question I want to ask you. What is a goal that you set for yourself that is energizing and motivating you through this process of change? I dare yourself even to listen to your truth and write it down. You know, if you have paper and pen nearby, write it down. Now, my example is that I want to be a public speaker on this topic exactly on a global stage. And it energizes me because this is very close to my heart. Having been in burnout and clinical depression and other mental health struggle myself, I'm really passionate about sharing what I've discovered through my journey to inspire others who's currently in that similar situation. And also to give them the tools, the resources that they can use to make that change easier for them. So they don't have to choose between performance or well being because we can have both. And another strategy is to think in small snacking. So all the studies, the neuroscience studies consistently say this. Always start small and easy. Yeah, you can imagine if you're um, trying to change your diet in so that it sticks long term. It's much easier to keep it on the long term if you add healthy snacks, or if you start with adding healthy snacks or substituting one thing with an healthier alternative versus like completely changing your diet to kind of to a regime, like a harsh regime. So similarly, instead of a complete overhaul of your life or making drastic change, which is not likely to stick long term, make small baby steps. Take the smallest action. And this is the question. What is the smallest first action? And I mean really small, okay? Something you can do in less than 2 minutes that you are willing to do towards your goal. And also anchor it in your existing routines. Where in your daily activities can you sneak in those mini action? So an example, a client I work with often has back-to-back meetings. So these meetings are her anchor. She makes sure that she creates 1 to 2 minutes for herself before and after each meeting to practice mindfulness, the PQ reps. Another example. So I do this each time I get up from my desk. That's the anchor. I make an effort to take a deep breath and really stretch, feeling my body expand, and then being aware of where I'm going, being aware of the steps where I'm going. It only takes maybe like less than half minutes, but the effect is clear. Like when I get back to my desk again, I have a clearer mind and I have my creative juice flowing again. And these are some example of the opportunities in very normal daily activities, which I believe everyone does. Yeah, so it's also to counter when your brain is making an excuse, or I really don't have time for this, I'm too busy. Yeah, because at the shower or washing hands, like you can engage your tactile sensation and really observe that. Or when you're waiting in line or waiting in traffic, it's also your opportunity to like observe your breathing or observe what's in front of you. During tea or mealtime, oh, that's an opportunity to engage your taste and your smell sense, or even in video call. Yeah, we do that on a regular basis these days. So really pay attention to any visual details of yeah, the person you're video calling with, or even if it's just an audio, you can really listen to their voice. During exercise, yeah, so whatever it is, whatever sport you do, whatever movement that you practice, so if you're doing it right, you notice that your mind is really being with your body. You're not like thinking about all other things about work or anything, but you're really present. And that's, that's really, you're doing PQ rep as well. And you can have your own unique opportunities in your own routine. So another strategy is to focus on the consistency instead of the intensity. Now, if you go to the gym, you don't expect to go once and then become fit forever. It also doesn't work to exercise really hard for 6 hours in a day and expect you'll see results faster. So this is the question to get you to build that consistency. Yeah, can I commit to this one action for the next fill in the blank? Is it 30 days or 2 weeks or 1 month and so on? And can I promise myself to not give up before then? And it doesn't mean that you're going to do it at all costs. Yeah, if you notice that it starts to feel like a burden, like, oh, it really doesn't work, I'm a big believer in tweaking or fine-tuning or course correct, so that you get in the flow again in your process of change. And what consistency can look like, for instance, for the coming fill in the blank weeks, months, I promise myself to some random examples here, to reach out to 3 people each day, or twice a week, enjoy, have something fun for myself, or take a morning walk at least 10 minutes, or start the day with one intention and wrap up with one gratitude. So notice how it looks so easy, so doable, and that's the whole idea of this. And what often happens is that, when I said take a morning walk at least 10 minutes, it's more often that I do it longer actually. Half hour becomes normal because it's enjoyable. So try this to build consistency in this way. The third strategy is to have more pull instead of push, push, push. Now, do you recognize this inner thought of, oh, I'm not disciplined enough, like I have to push myself harder? So this is a different perspective that is worth trying. Because if you notice that you are doing push, 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 you are over relying on willpower. And willpower is a limited resource. Yeah, you need to also recharge it by not pushing on a regular basis. And what happens when you over rely on willpower? This can backfire. Say you try to be super productive and you push through difficult tasks the whole morning. By afternoon, you will already be exhausted, and you start to make impulsive decisions that are not necessarily wise. Yeah, so question for you is, how can I make the journey more fun and exciting instead of feeling this push, 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 push each time? And also, how can I celebrate having done the smallest step, even when progress is not yet showing? So, this is a practice to acknowledge and appreciate your efforts and to become your biggest supporter, unconditional one, even. So, even when you feel, something feels insignificant or you're experiencing setback, still be your own biggest supporter. So, to pull for a more compelling journey, you can also ask yourself, besides the outcome, what else can I be grateful for from doing this process? Is it from learning new perspectives, new skills, or the actual enjoyment from the action or the celebration, or a sense of fellowship with others, or becoming a better, healthier person? Yeah, you may have your own unique take on this. Strategy number 4 is to have accountability and support. Because the majority of people, some study says 3 out of 4 people who set a personal growth goal, they gave up on average within 3 months. So this is a question for you to maybe to clarify the direction of what kind of accountability and support do you need. Yeah. Ask yourself, what do I need to make this process more encouraging? Is it that you need some regular feedback, or you need someone to actively listen to you and give supportive comment, or maybe it's something more practical that you need some resources and know-how, or a companionship, especially like if you're maybe like doing some you want to run a race, like it's really helpful to have someone someone with a similar goal to practice running session together. And I have a tip here for finding your accountability buddy. Yeah, so it is someone who helps you stay committed to your goal by holding you accountable, not to the goal itself, but to the process. And this is something that increases your chance of achieving your goals. Some studies says between 65 to 85%, up to 500%. Accountability buddy can be your teammate, your partner, your mentor, or maybe even just a sportive friend. But find someone whose opinion you care about. This is crucial. And make an explicit agreement. Yeah, the what, when, and how long. And keep in mind to not develop dependency, because this accountability partnership should not be forever. Ideally, you also build your own self accountability. Have regular contact, schedule if necessary. This one sounds very simple, but often, because it's so simple, we tend to forget. Okay, I'll be your accountability buddy. Great. And then because we didn't set up any calls or any appointments, it's just kind of like people are busy and then it never happened. And depending on your relationship with this person, give them just explicit permission. Just give it the benefit of the doubt. Be explicit about giving them permission to remind you or to challenge you. No offense taken, okay? And last strategy, the big why, the big picture. Connect with your bigger why and get really emotional about it. Yeah. Consider like what would be different if you were more in command of your mind when you master this habit, when you achieve your objective, what becomes possible. And another technique to to really get emotional is to ask the deeper why. And you can do this with yourself. You can also do it with a partner. So let's take an example here. I want to be more focused and perform better. That's your initial goal. You ask why. So I don't spend too many hours at work and worrying when I'm off work. But why is it important? So I can enjoy more being with my family. But why? Why is it important to enjoy time with your family? Because I want my child to remember me as a good parent when she grows up. For instance, yeah, this is maybe it takes 5, maybe it takes less, maybe it takes more, and maybe the why needs to be rephrased in a different way. But you get the gist. Go deeper. So to bring it into action, yeah, why not write down your exciting goal? And right now, just choose maximum one other strategies. And without any judgment, just start and make an imperfect plan. And you can share your goal and your imperfect plan with me for accountability as well. So if you want to build lasting positive change in your life, insights is actually like a small fraction. Yeah, knowing what you know, it's just a small portion of its success. And the rest is really up to your muscle building. How diligent are you in your action? Yeah, because this is what really moves you forward, that brings you also confidence and a sense of maybe accomplishment along the way. As you take step by step, you start to see progress, and you have that motivation alive. And it requires intense initial practice. So intense, not in that way of like doing 8 hours a day and then you'll get there faster, but it's actually about bringing the regular practice time. Even with that tiny action, the mini action, 2 minutes, do that 3 to 5 times a day. And after you've done that for 6 to 8 weeks, actually that starts to become a habit, and it's observable also in your brain through functional MRI that there's something, like the new patterns are showing up. And this is a bonus strategy. Yeah, if you want to make a change in your life, do yourself a favor by working on your mental fitness as well. Why? Because you remember the 3 core muscle. Yeah, first, of course, you need the self-command. You need it strengthened because you need it for taking that first action and the next action and the next action. And how you build your self-command is by practicing the technique, the PQ rep or mindfulness. Yeah, it's interchangeable, the words, so that you can actually focus your energy, your attention to what it is you want to do. And also, for sure, along the way, your saboteur will try to hijack your efforts. It's the brain's way to try to, I don't like this change. Let me try to pull this back to the old pattern. So your saboteur will show up very strongly to hijack you. And notice the negative self-talk, the self-sabotaging thoughts, and intercept them with your the saboteur interceptor muscle. And thirdly, it's also much more easier like when you can grow your sage powers, because then you have access to your powers of empathy, your curiosity, your creativity, your laser focus, and clear-headed action as you face challenges on the way. And you also maybe can come up with more wisdom, like, okay, say like the strategy, one of the strategy didn't work, how do I tweak it? You can use also your creativity, your wisdom there. And there's a program to support you in developing all these core mental muscles, this mental fitness program. So it's in the form of coaching, accompanied by an exclusive app to guide you in your daily practice. So it's like having an accountability in your pocket. And you may wonder, like, okay, what could this mental fitness program do for you? So over a couple of thousand participants, they reported greater well-being, performance, and relationships from the program. So within the 6 weeks of foundational practice, this is what they reported, like this greater well-being, increased happiness, and they manage their stress better and also improve their confidence. And so in the space of performance, they use their mental emotional energy more effectively, better at teamwork and collaboration, and also in their ability to coach others, to develop others. And of course, in the space of relationship, because we are building our sage power of empathy, it improves relationship, and we are also better in conflict management. So to wrap it up, you can share with me what is the number one action item you are committing to from this session. And if you wonder about the next steps, because I'm really passionate about you getting the most of this workshop, so share your goal with me. Yeah, see me as your accountability. And also be very welcome to check if and how the program can help you in achieving your goal with more ease and flow. You can book a call with me on this link. It's no obligation, and also there's no strings attached. And heads up, I'm planning another workshop, because now this is all about the individual journey. So how do you apply them in the team setting? It will be on the 4th of September, and you will also be invited then.